The seller's common law duty to disclose. In the previous section, we introduced the concept of real estate disclosure and explained how transparency protects buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals during a transaction. We discussed how disclosure laws in Arizona are shaped by statutes, administrative rules, and court decisions. To understand how disclosure works in practice, we must now look more closely at the seller's obligation to disclose material facts about the property. Under Arizona law, a seller has a duty to disclose facts materially affecting the value of the property that are not readily observable and are not known to the buyer. This obligation developed through Arizona court decisions and is commonly referred to as the seller's common law duty of disclosure. One of the most important cases defining this duty is Hill v. Jones, 151 Ares 81, 725 P2D 1115, Appears 1986. In Hill v. Jones, the buyers and sellers entered into a contract for the sale of a home that featured wood flooring. The sellers disclosed no prior termite damage, and the termite inspection report indicated that there was no visible evidence of infestation or previous treatment. However, the inspection did not reveal treatment holes in the patio because boxes were stacked over the area where the treatment holes existed. Inside the home, a large plant covered the location where termite damage had affected the flooring. After the close of escrow, the buyers learned from a neighbor that the property had previously experienced termite infestation. When the buyers investigated further, they discovered that part of the wood flooring had deteriorated and was crumbling. During the lawsuit, the buyers learned that the sellers had received 2 termite guarantees from the previous owner, had treated the property twice for termites, and knew that termite damage had existed but had never been repaired. The Arizona Court of Appeals concluded that the sellers had a legal duty to disclose this information because termite damage was a material fact that was not readily observable to the buyer. The court further explained that non-disclosure of a known fact may be equivalent to the assertion that the fact does not exist. Because of this reasoning, non-disclosure can carry the same legal consequences as fraud or misrepresentation. Arizona courts have continued to reinforce this principle. In S. Development Corporation v. Pima Capital Management Company, 201 Arizona 10, 31 P3D 123, Apern 2002, the court clarified that an as-is clause in a real estate contract does not shield a seller from liability for failing to disclose known material defects. Even when a property is sold as is, the seller remains responsible for disclosing known defects that could affect the value or desirability of the property. Additionally, the Arizona Court of Appeals in Universal Investment Comer Visa Sahara Motor Inn, Inc., 127 Arizona 213, 619 P2D 485, 1980, confirmed that if a buyer asks a seller a question about a property condition, the seller must provide truthful and complete information, even if the seller personally believes the information is not material. A seller also has a duty to disclose facts when disclosure is necessary to prevent a previous statement from becoming misleading or inaccurate. It is important to understand that although sellers have a duty to disclose known defects, they are not generally required to repair those defects. Instead, the law requires sellers to provide buyers with accurate information so that buyers can decide whether they wish to proceed with the purchase or negotiate repairs. The seller's statutory duty to disclose. While the seller's common law duty to disclose developed through court decisions, Arizona law also requires sellers to make specific disclosures mandated by statute. These statutory disclosures are designed to protect buyers and ensure that important information about the property is communicated before the transaction is completed. Some of the most common statutory disclosure requirements include the lead-based paint disclosure for properties built before 1978 under the Federal Residential Lead-Based Paint Hazard Reduction Act, Title X, which requires sellers to disclose known lead-based paint hazards. Arizona law also requires a swimming pool barrier disclosure under ARS Paragraph 36-1681E when a property contains a private swimming pool. In addition, properties located in planned communities or condominiums must provide association disclosures under ARS Paragraph 33-1806 and ARS Paragraph 33-1260, which require sellers to provide buyers with governing documents, financial information, and association rules. Certain properties may also require disclosure related to environmental or land conditions. For example, ARS Paragraph 33-434.01 and ARS Paragraph 49-701.02 address disclosures involving soil remediation. Properties located in unincorporated areas may require an affidavit of disclosure under ARS Paragraph 33-422, which informs buyers about important issues such as road access, utility availability, and zoning. Additional disclosures may include military airport disclosures under ARS, paragraph 288484, subdivision public reports under ARS, paragraph 322183, and disclosures involving property previously used as a drug laboratory under ARS, paragraph 121000. These statutory requirements demonstrate how the law attempts to ensure that buyers receive clear information about potential conditions affecting the property. The SPDS assists in making these disclosures. Because disclosure laws can be complex, the Arizona Association of Realtors, AAR, developed the Seller's Property Disclosure Statement, SPDS, to help sellers comply with their disclosure obligations. The SPDS is designed to assist sellers in identifying and disclosing material facts about the property while reducing the risk of accidental non-disclosure. The first page of the SPDS contains a seller advisory, which educates sellers about their legal obligations to disclose known material facts. This advisory helps sellers understand that disclosure is not optional and that failing to disclose known information can create legal liability. The SPDS also helps protect sellers by documenting the information they have disclosed to the buyer. When properly completed, the form demonstrates that the seller made a good faith effort to disclose known issues about the property. However, the SPDS does not replace the seller's legal obligation to disclose material facts. Even if a seller does not use the SPDS, the duty to disclose still exists. Some people have questioned whether the SPDS unfairly shifts risk from the broker to the seller. In reality, the seller has a duty to disclose material facts regardless of whether the SPDS is used or whether the seller is represented by a broker. The form simply helps organize those disclosures in a structured way. Another common concern is whether every question on the SPDS is material in every transaction. The answer is no. Some questions are informational and may not apply to a particular property. What is considered material depends on the facts and circumstances of each transaction. Even when a question on the SPDS may not appear material, providing the information generally does not harm the seller. In fact, many professionals follow a simple principle when completing the form. If the information might be important to a buyer, it is usually better to disclose it. Some sellers may wonder if they could simply provide disclosures on a blank sheet of paper instead of completing the SPDS. While a written disclosure could satisfy the legal requirement, the SPDS serves an important purpose by prompting sellers to consider issues they might otherwise forget. The form also addresses statutory disclosures that a seller may not realize are required. It is important to remember that the SPDS is not a warranty of the condition of the property. Instead, it is a disclosure of facts based on the seller's actual knowledge. The form itself states that the information provided is based only on what the seller knows and should not be interpreted as a guarantee of the property's condition. Online discussion. Why does Arizona law require sellers to disclose material facts that are not readily observable by buyers? Answer. Arizona law requires disclosure to protect buyers from unknowingly purchasing property with hidden defects. Courts have determined that buyers are entitled to information that could affect the value or desirability of the property so they can make informed purchasing decisions. Why does an as clause not protect a seller from failing to disclose known defects? Answer. Courts have ruled that even when a property is sold as is, sellers must still disclose known material defects. The clause does not eliminate the seller's duty to disclose information that could affect the buyer's decision. How does the SPDS help both buyers and sellers during a real estate transaction? Answer. The SPDS helps sellers organize and disclose known property conditions while providing buyers with written information about the property's history and condition. This documentation can help prevent misunderstandings and reduce legal disputes.